Hello, welcome to the channel. This is What's Cooking Official with Willow. Today we're going to be maintaining my sourdough starter and feeding it so that we have continued sourdough to use, and we're going to be utilizing that discard in chocolate chip cookies today. Now, I utilize the discard on a daily basis, so I don't ever hibernate my starter. If I was to leave town or something for a few days, I would feed it twice as much flour as I normally do, which is the measurement of the flour is 3/4 of a cup plus 2 tablespoons of flour and then half a cup of water. And that's after I've removed half of the starter from the jar after it's been sitting overnight, and I maintain that feed on a daily basis. I utilize the starter every day, and sometimes I use it in pancakes or bread or creations from other people's recipes using that discard. For instance, today I am doing something off of Pinterest that I found. The only difference between what her recipe is that I'll be posting in the link below and what I did is I used vanilla bean paste versus the extract. These cookies, they spread a lot with the sourdough. They have a super high hydration. So if you want pretty circle cookies, you're not going to get it with this recipe, so don't try it. But they taste phenomenal. So let's get started. If you're interested in the content and you like what's going on the channel, hit the like, subscribe, share, hit the bell so you always get new content. Whatever you want to do, hit all of them. That'd be awesome. So let's get into it. All right, so got my water bottle there. I'm gonna go ahead and open your starter, or however you take care of your starter. If you don't have one, like I said, I can make sure that we have that link down below for you if you'd like to do that. And you're gonna grab a rubber spatula and you're gonna stir it down. You're gonna get it off the sides. You're gonna get it good and stirred up. All right, and then you're gonna pour 1 cup of it into a glass measuring cup. On the camera, you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm gonna voice over this whole video so it's not visualized. We're going to take 3/4 of a cup, and I use a 1/4 cup because I have a smaller mouth mason jar and it just makes a mess if I do it any other way. Make sure you fluff up your flour so you get an accurate measurement, and you use something sharp and straight to measure that off. So I'm getting my flour put away. Adding in my water. And stirring it down for the final time. Make sure you're scraping the sides. You don't want anything up out of the hydration. You want it to expand. You want it to be bubbly and have like a sour smell, but you want to be watching for a pink or orange. It's a type of mold, just throw the starter away. Don't even keep the jar. If it's black, brown, or green, you can actually scrape that off or pour off your liquid that has it in it. Make sure it's out of your starter, and then just keep maintaining how you are. There is a difference in the bacteria depending on the color. Okay, so the lid that I was using, the press and seal wrap that I was using, I felt had been used to its full potential. So I'm just going to get a fresh piece of that and wrap it down over my jar and poke some holes in it. Make sure that they are all over the top of the jar so bugs can't get in but air can. And then tighten your band seal for your mason jar back down, or whatever device you use, whatever sourdough starter jar you use. Lots of holes. Plus it's kind of fun to do this. And you'll see they're all the way around. Put your seal back on. Put it up on top of the fridge. Okay, so you see my 1 cup of sourdough starter and the recipe I'm going to be using that I'll have linked in the description box below. And I'm just going to start gathering my materials. So I'm just putting my sugar in a separate bowl. It was half a cup of granulated sugar and then half a cup of brown sugar. Make sure that you pack your brown sugar. And I believe it's 1 3/4 of a stick of butter that I used at room temperature. A tablespoon of vanilla bean paste, an egg. Okay, so I have all of my ingredients. I'm getting my 1 tablespoon of vanilla paste ready. Just gonna put it in a bowl. And I went ahead and showed everybody that jar so they could get some if they wanted. I picked it up at Walmart. Over by where they sell like the Wilton cake pans and things like that. And then it called for 2 cups of flour, and rather than dirtying another measuring cup, I just used my one I always use for flour there, which is a 1/4 cup, so there should be 8 if I did it correctly. You'll see me hesitate because I'm like, oh my gosh, was that 7? And it was. And here's the 8th cup so that I have exactly 2 cups of flour. And, you know, one of the biggest tips that I could give anybody is clean your kitchen as you go, and then you don't have nonsense to deal with after. All right, then we're gonna get a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking soda. You're gonna throw that in with your flour in a separate bowl. And then it's 2 cups of chocolate chips, which I had a couple of open bags that equaled that. So that's what I used. And I just put everything in individual, combined the flour, salt, and baking soda, and I combined the sugars and that, but I kept everything separate until I was ready to start because my butter wasn't quite room temperature yet. Like I said, clean and organize as you go. All right, so I've got my 1 3/4 of a stick of butter in my stand mixer with my attachment, and then I'm going to add in both the granulated and the brown sugar at the same time. I'm going to let that mix until it's mixed to a certain creamy consistency that I like. And you can see it's starting to get creamy there. There's my beautiful grandson, Braxton. He's just kicking it in his walker. Okay, so at this point, you're going to want to add in your vanilla and your egg. All right. And we have got our flour, salt, and baking powder that baking soda that we added in. And then go ahead and add your chocolate chips. Mix till combined. And speed it up. And you're going to want to get a rubber scraper and get all of your cookie dough off of your beater. Alright, so we're going to be dropping those with a cookie scoop onto our parchment paper and baking them at 350. With my oven, it's older, so it took me about 13 or 14 minutes, and by the end of this process, I had switched to a jelly roll pan and was only doing 5 on the pan at a time, and by the end of it, my very last batch, I got really pretty circles. So keep all of that in mind while you're making these specific cookies, but the taste it's worth it every time. Alright, as you can see, we threw those back in the oven for just a smidge of time. I I was just reviewing how long they said to make them, and then this would be the first batch I did. I went ahead and put my cookie dough back in the refrigerator. That's another thing. You need to refrigerate your cookie dough for 15 minutes to overnight before you bake them. See, I set the timer for 7 minutes. It ended up being like 15 though with my oven. And I have a thermometer in there, but I don't think it's an issue to have cooked them that long. In fact, they kind of had like a caramelized taste to them by doing that. But I just don't think that was long enough for a raw cookie dough. Timer went off, and you can see I look at them and I'm like, nah, those aren't done. So I set it for another 5 this time and ended up with 12 minutes for the first batch. And checking them again. Still wasn't happy. Set it for another 5 minutes. This is the end result. As you can see, they do turn out really pretty as circles, but you really have to space them out on your pan. Alright guys, well, I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, critiques, anything like that, go ahead and just drop me right in the comments. Go ahead and drop me anything you want to ask me. And if you have any questions, our email's right on the YouTube there. So you just go ahead and shoot us an email if you have any questions or recipes that you want me to make. That would be super fun too. Y'all have a blessed day.